In this video, traders, we're going to look at how to set up our charts for Forex scalping. Stay tuned. Hey guys, warm welcome to you. All right, so if you are scalping Forex, actually to be honest, any market, you want to have your screen layouts or your chart layout exactly how you want it for the most efficient way possible. Now, the idea here is that when you have your screen laid out, you want stuff in your peripheral vision, you want information that you need without being overloaded. Now, I thought I would do a little kind of view of what I think should lay out on your screen, or how your layout should be, or how your charts should be set up. It's going to depend on obviously how many screens you've got. So there's no point in me kind of filming my screens and going, oh yes, this is how I set up, because it depends if you've got one screen, two screens, four screens, etc. But what I think is there's some things that as a scalper you should always have on your screen. So let's have a look. So we've got our charts here, and really on this side, I like to have my quotes to show the Forex pairs, the indices and the commodities, because these are all going to affect the currency pair that you're scalping. And if you're scalping Euro US dollar, you want to see what the DAX is doing. You want to see what the Dow, the S&P 500 is doing if you're trading them during the times that are open, because that makes sense. And if you're trading some of the commodity currencies, you want to see what crude oil's doing, gold's doing. Now, does it mean that you're constantly watching those? No, but it obviously keeps in your mind what is driving the market, because even though you're making decisions on a real micro level, second, minute to minute, you know, you still need to have that bigger picture in your mind, which is why we look at the chart area. We've got a higher time frame chart, a medium time frame chart, and then most of the screen real estate devoted to the lower time frame chart. Now, does it have to be these type of charts? No. But the point is, if you've got a daily chart here or an hourly chart here on the top left, how many times are you going to look at it? You're not. But what it does is it reminds you we are in a bull market. Okay, so you're trying to align yourself with the overall trend. Now, it's not to say there's not some short opportunities on a very small time frame. Of course there are. That's the benefit of scalping. But if in your mind you're saying, hey, at some point we could have a bullish run, what it means is you're not going to be stubborn. If you're taking a little sneaky short on a 1 minute time frame and it starts to go against you, the reminder that on the higher time frame this thing could rip, because you've got a thesis of where we're going broadly and where the strength and the pressure is, it makes sure you're cutting your trades. And also, as a scalper, if you're on the long side and you catch a little move, you might just wait a little bit longer, just get a little bit more out of it, because you're trying to align yourself with the bigger pressure. Now, we're not taking setups on the daily, we're not taking setups on the 240 minute, we're taking the view that that will have a pressure on the chart on the downside. So you got your daily, you got your high time frame here, medium time frame, like a 15 minute or even a 5 minute, guys, because what you're trying to do here is you're trying to see the levels. This is more a kind of feel of what the pressure is. You know, have we got a pressure to the upside, have we got a pressure to the downside, or are we just in a range? Then you're going to something where you're putting on some levels so you don't forget the key levels. Okay, we're coming up to a last week's high, we're in a range, or we're in a breakout level, or we've dipped down or something. Just reminding yourself, and also reminding yourself what happened the prior day. So if you've got a 15 minute and a 5 minute in, either one of those, so you can fit in as much information as you need to. Now, what does that mean? It means that if there was something really significant happening on a Monday and it's now Friday, you might have to use a 15 minute, because actually you want to see that level on Monday that you're now approaching on the Friday, which you couldn't see on a 5. If it doesn't matter what's happening on Monday, you're trading, say, Thursday, Friday, all you want to see is 2 days, then a 5 minute's fine. But if you need to see further back, because now we're back into that level, you need to go out on the time frame. Again, this is all about looking at your levels and still being aware of where you are in the bigger picture. I think that when you're scalping, we can get into the trap that we go, oh, we're just focused on what's happening right now. And yes, but the bigger picture plays a part in how big the moves are we're getting. The moves off lows, let's say you're scalping off the lows on an early morning in a bull market, that's going to be far stronger generally than if you're scalping off lows in a bear market. You might get a little bounce and then a continued follow through. So it makes a lot of difference how you're positioning. So we've got those two charts, and then my preference is to have a 1 minute chart or whatever, if you're trading off a tick chart or whatever it may be, as a longer chart that takes up a lot of the width of whatever screen you've got, rather than these little boxes. Now these are fine just to say, because all you're doing is getting an idea, but when you're kind of trading this, I like to see a lot of information as wide as possible. Not too bothered about the height, as long as it doesn't look silly and you've got, you know, kind of skewing the whole thing. I also like as well to have a little bit of white space. It's just personal preference, so I will drag my chart. It's probably a bit much, you're probably more like here, but I like to kind of visualize where the market could go. I like to have as much information as I possibly can about the current situation, so I get a feel for how big are the candles, what kind of moves have we had, you know, what's been prior to, or what we've seen before we've seen a big spike, what we've seen after a big spike, and it reminds me of what's happened rather than, you know, zooming into just 4 or 5 minutes and forgetting what's happened. I think the bigger picture is so important, and so that's why I like to have a long candle here. Okay, now some people are trading on MT4, MT5, etc. Some people are trading on broker platforms. Some people are using TradingView and execution, whatever. I mean, listen, you know, it's obviously going to have to depend and adapt this to your platform that you've got. But this is my kind of view of, in theory, what you should kind of have in your vision at any one time. I like to have some kind of news, not necessarily trading off news all the time, but just so I'm aware if there's some breaking news coming out. Hey, and it suddenly spikes up and this comes up and it's flashing on some sort of something to denote some serious news, then it means, hey, don't go fading stuff too soon because you're going to get run over. So I think that's an optional thing. Quotes, like I say, very handy to see the overall feel of the market, because even if you are scalping on a very short term, you know, money is flowing around the different asset classes. And then most importantly, guys, is your fills and orders and positions. So you've got your fills, you've got your resting orders that you've got in there. Maybe they're shown on the chart, but sometimes you can still get in a mess with scalping, can't you? You can be like adding 5, adding 10, adding 15, 20. What's my position? Very quick glance, you can go, right, I'm 35 long, 35 short, whatever it may be. Close the position, scale out the position, especially when you're kind of adding, scaling, jobbing a piece around, you're not sure where you are. So always like to have that. What I definitely don't want in my vision is the P&L. I don't want to see my account balance. I don't want to see P&L. I don't want to see anything to do with that, because that will affect your judgment. If you're up big and you see that money, you'll want to take it. In reality, you need to be trading what's in front of you, not strategy, etc. Now, obviously, if you're trading something else like an index future, commodity futures, you're probably going to have a different layout. You're probably going to have the depth of market. You're probably going to have the time and sales. You might well be scalping off that. But if you're trading Forex, you're trading a spot Forex or something like that with a broker, you're not going to be having that. Yes, some people allow you to put your tickets in via you know, like a dome, but most of the time it's just a pop-up ticket. So here is where you'd have your ticket as well. So either have your ticket in your order section or your ticket somewhere, if it's floating around, you know, fit it in an area. Now, the reason I don't like specifically to have a whole thing for the ticket is that I think that I don't want a reason to trade. As a scalper, the best thing you can do is to trade less. And so keeping a bigger picture, thinking where I want to get involved in it, this is all conducive to that. A lot of people just have one big 1 minute chart or 30-second chart, whatever it may be, which is fine, but I still think you can't ignore, you know, where the money's flowing in, what's happening on the bigger time scale, you know, what we do, because, you know, scalping is very much, okay, we're just jobbing around 10, 15 ticks, 10, 15 ticks, and then we get to a level, big level on the 15 or the daily, then all of a sudden we're going to be moving, you know, 4 or 5 times that. So you still have to be in tune with the bigger picture as well if you're scalping. So guys, 3 charts there, your quotes, your news, your order tickets here, your fills and your order, anything to do with your broker here. So put your tickets through, bang, get your fills, get your confirmations, see your positions, all that down there. And that gives you a nice view, overall picture of what's happening, but without ignoring the fact that the most primary thing you're looking at is that short-term picture to see exactly what's happening. Do all your analysis on that, put your trend lines in, do your bits and pieces, and do whatever you need to do to make your decisions on that while still being aware of what's going on in the bigger picture without being blinkered. All right, guys, take care if you're scalping Forex. Bye-bye.